Today's tech news moves fast, but understanding it shouldn't be hard. That's why Snarful Solutions Group brings you Connecting the Dots, where we break down what's happening in tech and why it matters to you. Now, let's dive in with your hosts.
Welcome back to Connecting the Dots. I'm Alex.
And I'm Morgan.
Thanks for joining us. It is Monday, October 27th, 2025 here in Sacramento.
And the weather's looking pretty good today, becoming sunny, expecting a high around 70 degrees.
Nice. Nationally, though, a bit more action. Snow's finally ending out in the Cascades and Rockies.
Yep, and Southern California is getting its first real Santa Ana wind event of the season. Plus, unfortunately, Hurricane Melissa is really hitting Jamaica hard with destructive winds and flooding.
Yeah, sending thoughts out there. Okay, let's look at the markets quickly. Things were, well, generally positive to start the week.
The Dow Jones saw a little bump, up about 37 points, so plus 0.08%.
And the S&P 500, pretty similar story, finished up about 0.06%, gaining just over 4 points.
But, you know, if you want a sign of where the big money confidence is, look at Bitcoin. Another strong day.
Right. It jumped over $620. It's more than 0.5%, closing Monday at $115,181.28. Still climbing.
That definitely reflects some of the optimism around the massive tech infrastructure build-out we're going to talk about today.
Absolutely. But before we dive into that, a quick word about our sponsor.
Yeah, we want to thank Old Glory. They're an iconic store for music and sports fan merchandise. Seriously, great stuff.
And with the holidays creeping up, maybe you've got that techie friend who's impossible to shop for, or honestly, anyone who loves bands or teams. Check them out.
Definitely. And if you use the promo code SNARFUL, that's SNARFUL, at checkout, you'll get 15% off your whole order.
Great deal. The website is oldglory.com. Again, promo code SNARFUL for 15% off at oldglory.com.
Okay, so let's get into it. We've been digging through our internal Snarful Tech article report. We call it the Morning Star. And today, it really boils down to two major interconnected themes.
Right. First, OpenAI's almost unbelievable spending spree and deal-making style.
And second, how that maybe connects to the fraying relationship between OpenAI and its biggest backer, Microsoft. It seems like they're, well, growing apart.
Let's tackle that spending spree first. Story 1. Sam Altman's unconventional $1.5 trillion deal spree. Unconventional almost feels like an understatement here.
It really is. So Sam Altman, OpenAI's CEO, has orchestrated these massive multi-year deals for computing infrastructure. We're talking potentially up to $1.5 trillion combined.
Wow.
With all the big players, Nvidia, Oracle, AMD, Broadcom, you name it. But the shocking part, how he did it.
Yeah, this is what got me. He largely skipped the usual process, right? Like the armies of external bankers and lawyers you'd expect for deals this size.
Exactly. Instead, he relied on a really small inner circle. We're talking President Greg Brockman, CFO Sarah Fryer, and Peter Hochschild, who handles their infrastructure financing. Just a handful of people.
For potentially $1.5 trillion, I mean, that sounds risky, skipping all the usual financial due diligence.
Well, yeah, from a traditional finance perspective, absolutely. But according to sources close to the deals, the thinking was completely different. It was tech first, meaning the absolute priority was locking down the supply of chips and computing power. Secure that first, worry about the precise financial details later. That was the mantra. Financial details coming later.
So it was driven by the sheer need for computing power.
Immense need. They needed to stimulate chip manufacturing, get as many chips developed and built as possible, like yesterday. Altman's goal is apparently aiming to secure up to 1 gigawatt of power per week.
1 gigawatt a week. Okay, put that in perspective for us.
Think of a small nuclear power plant that's roughly 1 gigawatt. He wants to add that much compute capacity every single week. It's just an insane scale. The technical need just overrode everything else.
And this sort of unconventional deal-making, it started earlier, didn't it? Like with CoreWeave.
That's a key example. The initial CoreWeave deal was for $11.9 billion in compute. But instead of just cash, OpenAI actually received $350 million worth of shares in CoreWeave.
Okay.
That deal's now expanded to over $22 billion. And guess what? Those CoreWeave shares OpenAI got, they've tripled in value since then.
Wow. So they're not just buying compute. They're essentially becoming investment partners with their suppliers, tying their fates together.
Precisely. It forces everyone to make it work. It's a fascinating, maybe slightly terrifying model.
Okay, so they're locking down supply in these unusual ways, but they're also clearly trying not to rely on just one supplier, especially the big one, Nvidia. Which brings us to story 2. the AMD alliance betting on chip competition.
Exactly. Nvidia became the world's most valuable company because they dominate high-end AI chips. That gives them enormous pricing power, right? Dictating terms.
So Altman and OpenAI are actively trying to build up competitors, diversify.
And the biggest move there is this major multi-year deal with AMD. This is huge for AMD.
What are the specifics?
The deal involves deploying AMD chips that require, get this, up to 6 gigawatts of power, so a massive order.
6 gigawatts.
Okay, but here's the kicker, the really interesting part. As part of this deal, OpenAI received warrants, basically options, to purchase up to 10% of AMD stock for just 1 cent a share.
1 cent. So, wait. OpenAI gets the right to buy a huge chunk of AMD for practically nothing.
Yep. So think about what that does. Suddenly, OpenAI has a massive financial incentive to make sure AMD not only competes with Nvidia, but actually succeeds and grows significantly.
They become AMD's biggest cheerleader, essentially. Because if AMD stock goes up, OpenAI makes a fortune.
Exactly. It's a direct play to foster competition. And why does this matter to, everyone else? Well, the hope is it creates long-term resilience in the chip supply chain.
Right. Less dependence on one company, protects against geopolitical risks, maybe natural disasters.
And crucially, if AMD becomes a stronger competitor, it should help drive down the cost of these super expensive AI chips for the entire ecosystem, for every AI startup, every university researcher.
That makes sense. It's also a huge vote of confidence, isn't it? All these massive deals, including, by the way, a $100 billion investment and chip deal with Nvidia, too.
Yeah.
It pushes back against the idea this is all just an AI hype bubble.
Definitely signals belief in a sustained build-out, though you gotta love the cynical analyst take. Stacy Rasgon over at Bernstein, he quipped that Altman basically has the power to crash the global economy for a decade if OpenAI actually fails after making these bets.
Well, let's hope not. But it highlights the stakes.
Yeah.
Okay, so Altman's shaking up finance, shaking up the chip market, but the ground might also be shifting under his biggest partnership. That's story 3, Microsoft and OpenAI, growing apart on ethics and office performance.
Yeah, this is fascinating. Microsoft has poured something like $13 billion into OpenAI. It was meant to be this super tight, almost exclusive partnership, but we're seeing clear cracks forming on 2 fronts, really.
Let's start with the practical one, the one that might actually affect, how your work software performs. We're talking Office 365.
Exactly. Microsoft is ending its exclusive use of OpenAI models for powering features in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, all those tools.
Okay, so who are they using instead? Or in addition?
They're bringing in models from a major OpenAI rival, Anthropic.
Anthropic. Okay, why?
Performance, plain and simple. Microsoft's internal tests apparently showed that Anthropic's model, specifically one called Claude Sonnet 4, just did a better job on certain tasks than OpenAI's models.
Like what kind of tasks?
Things like complex visual design generation within PowerPoint or sophisticated automation in Excel spreadsheets. For those specific jobs, Claude Sonnet 4 apparently came out ahead.
Interesting. So they're prioritizing best tool for the job over partnership loyalty.
Totally. And get this for alliance complexity. Microsoft isn't buying access to Anthropic's models directly. They're buying it through Amazon Web Services AWS.
Wait, what? So Microsoft is paying its cloud arch rival, Amazon, to get access to models from its AI partner's rival, Anthropic.
You got it. It shows just how tangled these relationships are becoming and maybe how desperate Microsoft is for the absolute best performance in its core products, no matter where it comes from.
That is something. Okay, so that's the practical rift. What about the philosophical one, the ethical divide?
This one's much more public. It centers around what some people are calling the sex bot capability, allowing AI chatbots to generate erotic content.
Ah, right. I saw headlines about this.
Microsoft's AI boss, Mustafa Suleyman, came out very strongly against it. He publicly stated Microsoft will not follow OpenAI or Elon Musk's xAI in offering, quote, simulated erotica, calling that kind of capability very dangerous.
Okay, strong words. How did OpenAI respond? Sam Altman.
Altman defended their decision. He emphasized that using ChatGPT for this requires strict age verification first, and he framed it as treating adults like adults, saying OpenAI is, quote, not the elected moral police of the world.
So a clear difference in philosophy there. Microsoft taking a more cautious, maybe paternalistic stance, and OpenAI championing user freedom within limits.
Exactly. And what this divergence shows you, the listener, is that as this AI race matures, even the biggest players are making very different choices about what matters most. Is it performance? Is it ethical boundaries? Is it user freedom?
And those choices directly influence the tools that end up on your computer or phone. Fascinating stuff.
Really is. The whole landscape is shifting under our feet.
Okay, before we wrap things up and connect all these dots, let's quickly thank our other fantastic sponsor.
Yes, huge thanks to Skony. They make premium golf shoes. If you're a golfer looking to step up your game or just your style on the course, you should definitely check out Skony.
Top quality stuff. And just like with Old Glory, we've got a deal for you. Use the promo code SNARFUL, again, SNARFUL, at checkout on their site.
That'll get you 15% off your entire purchase. The website is skony.com. That's skoni.sen, icerise.com. Promo code SNARFUL.
All right, so let's quickly recap the big takeaways from the Morning Star today.
First, we saw Sam Altman making these absolutely monumental $1.5 trillion infrastructure deals, but doing it his own way, bypassing traditional finance, focusing purely on the technical need first.
Second, OpenAI is using its immense buying power, like with that AMD warrant deal, to actively try and reshape the chip market, fostering competition against Nvidia.
And third, the bedrock partnership between OpenAI and Microsoft is visibly changing. Microsoft is looking elsewhere, Anthropic via AWS, for better performance in Office, and they're publicly disagreeing on fundamental ethical questions about AI capabilities.
It really feels like a new phase is beginning.
Yeah.
And, connecting this back, I remember Altman saying recently in an interview that he realized he was wrong about previously being against vertical integration and controlling your whole supply chain.
Right. He said traditional economic theory, which usually favors specialization, just didn't apply to OpenAI's situation because their need for resources for compute was just so unique and massive.
So that kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? If the sheer scale and demands of AI forced OpenAI to basically throw out one long-held economic principle.
Yeah, it leads to a pretty provocative thought for you, our listener. What other established rules of business or traditional economic assumptions do you think this AI revolution might completely overturn next? Something to chew on.
Definitely something to think about.
A lot happening out there.
We're here to help at Snarful, so reach out on our website if you have any more questions.
That's a wrap on today's top stories. Remember, tech doesn't have to be complicated, and we're here to help connect the dots. If you've got questions or want to learn more, visit us at snarful.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.